So this has been a subject that I've actually discussed on the channel a few times, affordable versus non-affordable watches. And today I wanted to sort of play the devil's advocate because I've made videos where I've discussed reasons why you definitely should collect affordable watches, cheap watches, whatever you want to call them. And in this video, I just wanted to play devil's advocate and give you 3 reasons why you shouldn't. And also I'm going to give you another reason why you should. So I'm going to get right into it. Reason number one. Reason number one is really more of an example. Let's say you have 10 affordable watches in your collection. You could be all dive watches. It could be a mixture of watches. It doesn't really matter. And let's say you've spent $300 to $400 to $500 on each one of those watches. So now you have a range of between $3,000 and $5,000 is what you've spent on this 10 watch affordable watch collection. Now, if you took that money and bought one watch, let's say you bought a dive watch and it's the Seamaster 300. Now that watch ranges from $3,000 to $5,000 depending on how you buy it and which model you buy. Now you're getting a Seamaster, an Omega Seamaster 300 for the price of that 10 watch collection essentially. However, when you think about it, if you went to sell that 10 watch collection, you would not get that money back. You would not get that $3,000 to $5,000 back. However, if you bought that Omega instead of that 10 watch collection, it would hold its value better than that 10 watch collection. No matter what watches you had in that collection, if they were Micorbrands, a mixture of Micorbrands and affordable brands, it doesn't matter. That Omega would hold its value and also stand the test of time a little bit better because it is a classic watch. Some guys I know have 20, 30, 40, 50 watches in their collection, all of them very affordable watches between the price of $200 and $600, let's say. And if they took all of those watches and tried to sell them, they would not be able to get anywhere near what they actually paid for those watches, unfortunately. And that's just the fact of collecting affordable watches. The resale values aren't great, and that's just the way it is currently. Things might change in the future. Now, reason number 2, and I think this is a really good reason. It's something that I've actually discussed with my good friend Rock the Watch, Matt Stingray, over the Rock the Watch channel. Check his channel out. We talk about this on a pretty regular basis. The quality is not the same. It's not even close. So sometimes when you put an affordable watch on your wrist and then you put an expensive watch on your wrist, you definitely will notice the difference in quality. Now, I collect both styles of watch. I have affordable watches in my collection. In fact, that's a majority of what my collection is. And then I have higher end watches, higher end dive watches and other types of watches. And the quality, there is a noticeable difference between the two. Now, a lot of these affordable watches have parts that are sourced from other areas in the world, even if they say that they're Swiss made. Usually they're made in China. And their quality control standards aren't really high. Their polishing, their brushing, it's all relative to where they're actually getting the watches made. These aren't tried and true factories that have been making watches for years and years, like Omega and some of these other brands, even the lower end of the high end, like Mito and Tissot. They have a lot of R&D and they have a lot of time behind making watches, so they have a little bit more knowledge. And that just is apparent in the quality when you are looking at Micorbrands. And I'm talking about brands like Notice, Zelos, NTH, all these really great brands that make really great watches. However, you definitely can notice the difference when you go from one to the other, from affordable to not so affordable. And that's just the way it is. The standards are higher from brands like Omega. There is another thing to be said here. The price doesn't always justify the actual difference in quality. So the quality difference versus the price difference is not always justified. So if you're getting a Notice for $400, $500, somewhere around that range, that Omega Seamaster isn't 10 times better. It's just 10 times more expensive. So the difference in quality isn't always 10 times better. Maybe it's 5 times better, but you're paying 10 times the price. So I have to say that, and that is something that you definitely need to consider. You are paying more for slightly more, but not incredibly more. And my last reason, and this is a reason that I bring up on a lot of other conversations, it's heritage. Heritage is important to a lot of people. Almost all affordable brands, and specifically Micorbrands, are new companies. They're just new. They just came out of the woodwork. They just started. There's some guy who wants to make a watch. He has a vision for a watch. A lot of them are homages to brands that I'm talking about, like Omega, Rolex, and Blancpain. They are homages to them, and they don't have history. They sort of pull from these other brands for their looks, so they don't have their own design style. It's a lot of borrowing that goes on by these brands, and they are trying to make something out of nothing. And it's hard, so what they do is they borrow heavily. There are very few original Micorbrands out there, and it is very hard to actually name any of them because there are very, very few. I've featured a few on my channel, but like I said, it's really hard to find an original idea. And again, you're buying that heritage when you buy an established brand like Omega, Rolex, and Blancpain. They are established. They have a history. Omega were used in war. Rolex were used during war times to help the Allies win. They were actually there. They are part of history. Not only do they have history, they are actually part of history. And that's kind of incredible when you think about it. And something that Micorbrands don't currently have, and maybe in the future they will, but I don't think we're going to see that in our lifetime. Or maybe we will in the tail end of our lifetime, but currently that's not on the horizon just yet. So unfortunately, that is the 3 reasons. And I think those are really solid reasons. They're very hard to argue with, but I definitely want to hear from you guys in the comments. Please tell me what you think. Now I'm going to give you one reason, and it's kind of a long reason, of why I think everyone should buy affordable watches. And I made a whole video on this. And my reason is buy affordable or cheap watches because they are awesome. Why the hell not? You get a lot for your money. Comes back to that little thing where I just said before that it's not 10 times nicer, it's 5 times nicer. That makes a big difference. So you're paying a lot more money for not a lot more. It's a noticeable difference, but it's not an incredible difference that it's going to be a nasty experience. You're going to have fun with these watches. They are fun to collect. And then you could have a variety of watches in your collection. You could have a diver, you could have a pilot's watch, you could have a dress watch, you could have a field watch, you could have multiples of those for the price of one Omega Speedmaster, one Omega Seamaster, one Rolex. Doesn't matter. So you could get a ton of watches in your collection and be happy. And you could change your watch every single day. So you get a lot for your money. You could have a big collection and not just one type of watch, as I mentioned, and you get pretty good quality for the money. Not Omega quality, not Rolex quality, but you get pretty good quality and you're not paying those prices. So that's really kind of a lot of reasons all in one, but that really does make sense to me. And that's the reason why I actually have affordable watches in my collection, because sometimes I'm really surprised at what you're getting for the money. There are things I'm willing to overlook, and I do for certain watches. And I really don't care that maybe the bracelet's a little bit sharper, it's not finished perfectly, because I really enjoy the actual look of the watch. It's something that I can use. Maybe it's an homage to something that I really want, but I don't want to spend the extra money on it, or it's just a fun watch and I just want to have it on my wrist. And that's it. So there are 3 reasons why you shouldn't, and then one big reason why you should collect affordable watches or cheap watches. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments below, because I really want to hear from you guys. I think this is kind of controversial, as I said. A lot of people go back and forth on this. I've had conversations on live streams. I've talked to my good friends, like I said, Rock the Watch, about this a few times. And I've done live streams and stuff like that on this. It's something that gets people really heated, and some people agree with me. But tell me what you think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.